Alright, I am Tehuti, Khepera, Iteru. Now this video is called Black Consciousness versus Black Occultism. So now first I want to talk about the different levels to consciousness. As you often hear me speak about the different levels of consciousness. So now you have the conscious people, then you have the subconscious people. Now the subconscious people are really occultists. But see, consciousness is just awareness. Consciousness is just awareness. So conscious people are just slightly aware, just slightly there, almost there, but not quite, right? But see, a conscious person's level of consciousness only comes into fruition when they are presented with that which they need to be conscious of, right? So in other words, they see when they have been shown, right? So if they see a video entitled "The Truth About the Chakras," then they can watch that video. But if the chakras were encoded into a movie, then they would not be able to decode it and understand the deeper meaning behind it, you see. Now a subconscious person, a person who is deeper than consciousness, they see things that are not so apparent. So they see things that are beneath the surface, right? So if they watch a movie that is subtly encoding the chakras, then they can pick that up. But see now, so now I want to talk about the difference between black consciousness and black occultism. So now black consciousness discusses Africa and all of the great things we did in Africa. Basically, we did this and we did that, right? But black occultists look at the broader spectrum and says that, so black occultism says that blacks or black people were the first Chinese, black people were the first in India, the first in Mexico. So we are not just African, but we are in fact indigenous to the whole entire planet, right? Next thing is that black consciousness will talk about how great we were in Egypt. And black consciousness can discuss all of the discoveries and all of the sciences and architecture that went on in Egypt. But then a black occultist will say that if we were so great in Africa, then why are we in this condition right now, right? So a black occultist will say, where do we go from here? So now I want to talk about how to become a black occultist and go beyond consciousness. So now I have mentioned now, in another video I've mentioned how you don't choose the occult chooses you, right? But the fact that you are even watching this video shows that you are already being initiated into the occult, right? The fact that you are even watching this video right now. So now it's a matter of going further. So now the first thing is to read, as conscious people don't actually read, right? Most conscious people just follow another person. So now I want to discuss some books to read, but I'm not going to go too in depth into this, as I already have a video showing different books to read, book recommendations and stuff like that. So I'll leave that video in the description. So now one of the first books to read is the Corpus Hermeticum, or the Way of Hermes, which is a translation of the Corpus Hermeticum, right? The next book is the Asclepius, which is the sister book to the Corpus Hermeticum, right? Then another book is Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious by Carl Jung, right? And also the Kabbalion. Now, I have a few issues with the Kabbalion, but there are certain things in the Kabbalion that you need to understand. But yeah, again, the Kabbalion, you can get that online, right? So again, but yeah, I already have a video dealing with book recommendations. So these are some of the books that you need to get to start you off. But then, as you go further into this, to start you off into the occult thought and the occult mindset, right? So then those are the books to start you off. Right? Now, okay. Now, another way to be further initiated into the occult, right, is to turn off that TV. You have to turn off the TV. And the truth about the TV is that the elitists who run the TV and who are in charge of the TV programs that are shown, they are actually occultists, you see. And through their TV programs is how they program the masses and prepare their mind for a ritual, right? So the TV was really a propaganda tool that was intended for the masses, intended for control and manipulation of the masses, you see. So, but see, if it's news that you're after, then you can get news online. And if it's music, again, you can get music online. So there's no reason why you should still be watching TV. But see, so now I want to talk about what happens when you become a black occultist. So now, a black occultist sees beyond the debates. A black occultist goes beyond the debates. A black occultist goes beyond these petty arguments, these back and forth shit. A black occultist goes beyond that, right? Also, a black occultist is not satisfied with the we did this and we did that, right? A black occultist wants to know, if we were so great, then why did we fall in the first place? So a black occultist wants to know, where do we go from here? So now the key is alchemy and transformation. So now first we must discuss what alchemy is. Now in the Kabbalion, it gives a description of alchemy. And it talks about something called mental transmutation, which is one of the few things I actually agree with, right? Mental transmutation. Now, so the definition of alchemy, basically, alchemy is the transmutation of matter from one state to the next, as there's different states of matter. You have solids, liquids, and gases, but you also have plasmas, liquid crystal, and Bose-Einstein condensates. Now, so how this relates is that the word alchemy has alchemy, right? So the black Egyptians were the original alchemists, so alchemist is our science. But due to the white man's lack of understanding, he doesn't really understand alchemy. So now, for example, you have the TV show Avatar: The Last Airbender, and they talk about the different elements, right? They talk about earth, water, fire, and air. But the show makes the earthbenders seem like builders and constructors, right? And it makes the waterbenders seem like peaceful healers. And then it says the airbenders are monks, but then it makes the firebenders seem evil, right? So he tries to make it seem that there's really no need for fire in this realm, and that fire's only purpose is destruction. So this is what they're trying to imply in this show. But so he has a lack of understanding of fire, as fire is a tool of transformation, right? As when fire burns down the tree, it may seem like the tree has been destroyed, but the tree has actually been reduced to its base form, which is carbon. They call it ash, but it's really carbon, right? So also you may have a solid piece of iron, but once you melt this down with fire, it becomes liquid metal. So the iron has not been destroyed, it has simply changed form, right? So the alchemist understood that fire is a tool of transformation. So the principle of matter cannot be destroyed and it simply changes form, that is our philosophy, right? That is our philosophy, not the white man. But we may have not actually wrote this down, as alchemy was very much a hidden occult practice. So we may have not actually wrote that down, but it's still our philosophy, not the white man. Alright? Right, so that was the core of our alchemical philosophy. So now fire is a tool of transformation, not destruction. So the firebender in Avatar is really the master of transformation, the alchemist. But again, they make it seem evil, so that way we stay away from it while they study it behind the scenes. But in my video called Extraterrestrial Pyramid Science, I spoke about the Serapeum, which has these big granite boxes that no one seems to know what they were for, right? But I spoke about how the Serapeum was actually an Egyptian alchemical mixing room. And these boxes was their alchemical mixing chambers, right? As the Egyptians understood that not only fire can be used as a tool as transformation, but also you can use vibration and electricity, as these boxes had a resonance frequency and could conduct electricity, but electricity produces magnetism, as it's an electromagnetic force holding the chemical bonds of atoms in a solid together. Right? So for example, it's an electromagnetic attraction that causes the hydrogen to bond to the oxygen to form the water molecule. So this is why when you run an electric current through it, a process known as electrolysis, you can split that hydrogen, that you can split the water molecule back into its separate gases of hydrogen and oxygen. So now, how this relates to black people is that, as fire is a tool of transformation, and in the Corpus Hermeticum it teaches us that when the soul leaves the body, it takes on a body of fire. In other words, the soul transforms, right? As the Corpus Hermeticum teaches us that the soul goes through transformations, right? So in other words, the black race is going through a transformation right now. But how this relates to the current condition of black people is that melanin is carbon, and carbon, once it is heated and put under enough pressure, it transforms into a diamond. So the carbon, once it's placed in a stressful situation, right, it transforms into something completely different to what you had before. So also, Bobby Hemmett's philosophy is that the black race is in a cocoon stage right now. And like the caterpillar that transforms into the butterfly, black people are transforming into something completely different to what we already have, right? But this change is taking place in our DNA. So it's our DNA that will save us. No man will save us. But the ego likes to think that it can save a people, right? But our DNA is already changing as we speak. So the key is to allow your DNA to change. But the white man understands this. So he has measures in place to try and halt this change in our DNA for as long as possible, based on the foods we eat and the programs we watch and the music that we listen to. As also the key thing here is that thoughts can actually change the DNA. So just by thinking the way we just by thinking and how we perceive the white man and how we perceive white people is actually holding back our DNA. Also I want to show you how this relates to the quarantine and the role of the quarantine. So the role of the quarantine is to essentially transmute different elements of black culture to act as a catalyst to speed up the process of the change in our DNA. So for example, by us using certain words, right, as a collective, this is holding our DNA back and it's keeping us tied to certain old paradigms. So by transmuting certain words that we use, we will no longer be tied to these old paradigms, this old slavery paradigm. And we will be one step closer to changing our DNA. But that is just the first step. There are many elements to the quarantine, right? But the first step will act as a platform to catapult the other steps. But I will be doing another video going more in depth into the first stage of the quarantine and how it will actually work, right? So, in closing, I just want to say that the black race is going through a transformation right now. It's about alchemy and transformation. So we must not allow anything to halt this change in our DNA. We must not allow anything to halt this transformation, and we must aid. You see what I'm saying? We must aid in the catalysts or solutions to aid in this transformation and work to speed up this transformation. So it's not about debates. It's not about arguments. The only thing that matters right now is alchemy and transformation. Alright, black people, just a quick video right here dealing with alchemy and transformation and black occultism. Alright, black people, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got some good information from this. Alright, black people, thanks for watching.